In the NBA draft, there are bound to be a handful of players that, for one reason or another, are overlooked. The draft has always been that way. You can put in all the work and scout every player, but sometimes certain guys just fit better in the NBA, find themselves in an ideal situation, or work harder than others to create their own success. And those are the players that I want to talk about in today's video. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and in today's video, I'm going to be listing the biggest NBA draft steal from each of the drafts in the 2010s. Now, to be clear, when I'm saying a steal, I mean a player that was selected either 20th or later. So, for example, Giannis does not count in the 2013 draft, and also I'll be giving bonus points to players that were selected later on in the draft. We begin with the biggest steal in the 2010 NBA draft, and that is Hassan Whiteside. Coming out of college, he was seen as a player with potential, but he needed to improve offensively and get much stronger as well, but it was clear that he could be an impactful defensive player. He was drafted 33rd overall by the Sacramento Kings, but spent most of his first 2 seasons in the G League, playing in just 19 games, before being waived by Sacramento in 2012. He spent the next 2 years bouncing around the G League and overseas before being picked up by the Miami Heat in September of 2014, where it became clear that he had the talent to be a productive NBA player. Over the next few years, his role increased, leading the league in blocks in his second season in Miami and leading the league in rebounding in his 3rd year with the Heat. In the draft class, he ranks 4th in rebounding and 10th in points. Honorable mentions for this draft include Nemanja Bjelica with the 35th pick and Lance Stevenson with the 40th pick. The biggest steal in the 2011 NBA draft was Isaiah Thomas. Coming out of college, he was seen as an extremely undersized guard that was definitely going to struggle defensively at the NBA level. He was selected 60th overall also by the Sacramento Kings, coming out of Washington as a talented but, as I said, undersized scoring guard. And he made an immediate impact, which is strange for a late 2nd round pick, and by his 3rd season with the Kings, he was already averaging 20 points per game. However, they didn't really like the fit, so he was traded to Phoenix, who did the same thing and moved Thomas to Boston in February of 2015. And Boston is where Thomas really began to shine, becoming one of the best scoring guards and 4th quarter players in the league, making 2nd team All-NBA in the 2016-17 season after averaging nearly 30 points per game. In this draft class, he ranks 7th in points and 3rd in assists. The honorable mention for the 2011 draft is Jimmy Butler, the 30th pick, and the only reason he wasn't the selection is simply because Thomas went so much later in the draft. The biggest steal in the 2012 NBA draft was Khris Middleton. Coming out of college, he had some injury issues and was really seen more as just a role player with limited athleticism. He was selected 39th in 2012, drafted by Detroit, and he had a solid rookie season but was traded just a year later and immediately became a 30-minute per game player for the Milwaukee Bucks. He has steadily increased his production and has become one of the most consistent players and shooters in the league, making the All-Star team in 2019 and 2020. In this draft class, he ranks 5th in points and 2nd in 3-point percentage. The honorable mention here for this draft class is Draymond Green with the 35th pick. The biggest steal in the 2013 NBA draft was Rudy Gobert. Coming into the league, he was seen as a player honestly similar to Hassan Whiteside that needed to improve offensively and needed to get stronger, but had the potential to be an incredible defensive player. He was selected 27th in 2013 by Utah, and after a quiet rookie year, he really began to show his potential in his 2nd season. And once the team made some trades to open up minutes for him in the front court, he became one of the best defensive bigs in the league, leading the league in blocks in the 2016-17 season, then winning Defensive Player of the Year the following 2 seasons, and finally making an All-Star team in 2020. In this draft class, he ranked 7th in points, 1st in rebounds, and 1st in blocks, and there are no honorable mentions from the 2013 draft because it was just that bad of a class. The biggest steal in the 2014 NBA draft was Nikola Jokic. Coming into the NBA, he was seen as a below-average athlete that certainly had the skills to be a productive player, but was probably going to struggle with the faster and stronger players at the NBA level. He was selected 41st in 2014 by Denver, and he had a nice impact as a rookie, but was among a handful of talented bigs with the Nuggets, including Jusuf Nurkic. And in a story similar to Gobert, once Nurkic was traded away, Jokic really took off, increasing his production over the years to become a 20-10 guy the last 2 seasons, a fringe MVP candidate on one of the best teams in the West, and one of the best passers in the league. In this draft class, Jokic ranks 3rd in points, 1st in rebounds, and 2nd in assists. The honorable mentions for this class are Spencer Dinwiddie with the 38th pick and Jordan Clarkson with the 46th pick. The biggest steal in the 2015 NBA draft was Montrezl Harrell. Coming into the NBA, he was seen as someone that was basically just an energy player without the size to play the 5 full-time, and his limited skill set was going to prevent him from having a true position outside of just being a rebounding power forward. He was selected 32nd in 2015 by Houston, and he got some minutes in his first 2 seasons, but was mostly just an energy big. But he was then traded to the Clippers in the Chris Paul trade, and that is where his career really took off. He was solid in his first season in LA, but has been incredible off the bench the last 2 years, with great averages despite just 10 total starts in his time in LA to this point, becoming one of the best 6th men in the league, and is on his way to a big payday this offseason. In this draft class, Harrell ranks 6th in points and 8th in rebounds, and the honorable mention for this class is Josh Richardson, who was selected 40th. The biggest steal in the 2016 NBA draft was Pascal Siakam, who had question marks coming into the league about the competition level that he played at, being an older player coming into the draft, and a limited offensive skill set. He was drafted by Toronto with the 27th pick and was just a rotation player in his first 2 seasons, but really improved his perimeter game in his 3rd season, establishing himself as one of the best players on the team and winning the Most Improved Player award. Then he took his game to a whole new level this season with Kawhi Leonard gone, being named an All-Star, and could honestly make an All-NBA team this season depending on how it finishes out. In this draft class, Siakam ranks 7th in points and 3rd in rebounds, and the honorable mention for this class is Malcolm Brogdon with the 36th pick. The biggest steal in the 2017 NBA draft is OG Anunoby. Coming into the NBA, he was recovering from a torn ACL that he suffered in his final season in college, and there were question marks about his ability to contribute on the offensive end as well, even though he was such a great defender. He was selected 23rd in 2017 by Toronto as one of the higher upside players in the draft, but again, coming off of a knee injury. He's been a solid rotation player every single season and a really good defender, upping his minutes to 30 a game so far this season, while also becoming a more lethal 3-point shooter. In this draft class, Anunoby ranks 13th in rebounds and 9th in 3-point percentage, and the honorable mention from this class is Kyle Kuzma, who was selected 27th. The biggest steal in the 2018 NBA draft is DeVonte Graham. Coming out of college, he was seen as an undersized guard and an older player at 23 years old coming into the NBA who could be productive but was unlikely to have much upside. He was selected 34th in 2018 and was originally drafted by Atlanta but traded to Charlotte on draft night. He had a solid rookie season, but in his 2nd year has become something entirely else. One of the most lethal high-volume 3-point shooters in the league, a good to great playmaker while playing over 35 minutes a game. In this draft class, he ranks 10th in points and 3rd in assists, and the honorable mention for this class is Landry Shamet with the 26th pick. The biggest steal in the 2019 NBA draft was Brandon Clarke, and the biggest weaknesses for him coming out of college was limited size and really not much of a clear position for him with a relatively limited offensive skill set. He was selected 21st in 2019, originally by the Thunder, but then traded to Memphis on draft night, and has become one of the most efficient young bigs in the league with great defensive upside. The kind of player that's just solid and doesn't really hurt you when he's on the floor. In this very young draft class, he ranks 2nd in rebounds and 3rd in field goal percentage, with the honorable mentions from this class being Eric Pascal with the 41st pick. And as you look now at the biggest draft steals from every single NBA draft in the 2010s, it's pretty clear why the draft is so difficult to evaluate. Because all of these players come from different situations. Some of them were high upside players, some of them were older guys that didn't really seem to have much potential, some of them were hurt, some of them were fully healthy, and the positions are all over the place as well. So it really does show that sometimes it's just pure luck, it's the situation, or it's an incredible development staff at the NBA level that really creates draft steals. And that's not to say that some teams aren't better than others at finding these hidden gems in the draft, as illustrated by the Raptors having back-to-back players in this group in 2016 and 2017, and both of those players being really impactful on their championship-winning team. It's just that a lot of things have to come together to really create a draft steal, and that's one of the reasons why these players are picked so late in the draft in the first place. And yeah, there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.